Hello and welcome to Startline, brought to you by the Manx Motorcycle Club. I'm Beth Espy and this podcast is about everything road racing, both on the Isle of Man and further afield. From the races and the teams to the organisers and officials, it is all here on Startline. Thank you so much for downloading this episode and for supporting the Startline podcast. You can keep up to date with the very latest that's happening by following the Startline Road Racing podcast page on Facebook and Instagram. There are some great videos and photographs of the people we've spoken to so far on there. I've actually also asked for your help with something. So I've been set this challenge to name the 6 greatest TT riders of all time from any era. If you've got any thoughts on who absolutely needs to be on the list, do let me know. There is a post, as I say, on the social media page that you can comment on. But now let's meet today's guest, and it's another Manx Grand Prix newcomer for 2026. We're joined by Shane Doran, who's not only chasing his dream on 2 wheels, but he's doing it alongside a full-time military career. Shane talks really honestly about what it's taking to balance the discipline, the training, the work alongside the demands of road racing, and how he's preparing for some of the biggest challenges when it comes to MGP. So we'll hear about the mental toughness needed to keep pushing forward, the importance once again of teamwork, sponsorship, and that unique sense of camaraderie that really does seem to keep road racers going. This then is Shane's story about what it's taking for him to get to the start line.
I'm from Naas, County Clare in the Republic of Ireland. I've been racing since 2019, so the last 5 or 6 years. I started off racing on lightweight 400s, ZXR 400s, and progressed up to the twins class, where I was racing the Ulster Superbike Championship most recently, and I came 4th in the championship last year. And did my first road race then in Aberdare Park last year, where I came 7th in the Super Twin final and 2nd in my heat class. So it's been a busy few years.
So Shane, I'm just curious, if people, maybe your like friends and family, were to describe you, what would they say, do you think?
I think coming from their perspective, they call me a bit nuts. To be honest, between the job and obviously what I do as a hobby, they don't really go hand in hand. But
tell us what it is you do for a job.
So I'm a soldier as well in the Irish Defence Forces. Yeah, I've been a soldier since I was 18, so it's been hard trying to juggle the two of them, really.
Bet it has. And is it something then that's what you always wanted to do as a little boy?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So between both of them, really, I've always wanted to race bikes and I always wanted to be in the army. So, as a child, you want to do everything, but they were the two big ones.
Have you grown up then in a family that was, that had the sort of soldier background and biking as well?
No, so I actually have no real family background in the military, apart from my granddad. He was he would have served in the reserves. But other than that, now there's no one else in my family that served in the army. So in that regard, I'm kind of the first. But on the racing side of things, my dad, he would have done rallycross with cars, I suppose, with my uncle. And my brother, he used to race go-karts as well when he was younger. So there's a bit of racing background there, right, on 4 wheels, but not 2 wheels specifically.
It's just amazing, I think, where life sort of takes you. And do you know the point where you thought actually a military career was what you wanted?
I think I was very young, to be honest. I would have been a child, and I just remember my mom saying, she could always see me being a soldier, just the way I was going around as a child. So, yourself playing in the woods, that's the way it ended up.
And I guess on a practical level, I mean, no 2 days really are going to be the same sort of thing, but do you have to travel much?
Yeah, so that was kind of difficult at the very start when I joined, and also when I started racing, because they're both really at the same time. But you have to serve overseas within your contract. So they were 6-month deployments overseas. So I've done 2 of them, and trying to work between them and racing is very difficult. But I enjoyed both of the trips, and I got a lot of experience from them as well. So
you have to be a certain type of person then for this sort of career, because you always think of soldiers and that sort of the training that you have to go to, which seems, pretty extreme in some ways, because obviously they have to root out the people who don't really want to be there. So you've got to be so focused and disciplined. Does that kind of sum you up as a person?
I suppose so. the discipline, you definitely have to be disciplined for the job. And, the likes of when in the beginning, when you start off in your recruit training, your induction training, a lot of people do get whittled down and the numbers get smaller as you go on. And even as you further in your career, you do courses which are the same, a lot of people, it just narrows down the numbers. But yeah, you definitely have to have the head for it as such. But there is a job in the army for everyone as well, type of way.
Obviously, you mentioned that your dad and your brother got sort of racing backgrounds to a certain extent. I'm wondering whether for you, it's almost like an outlet, isn't it? Because if you're on a bike, I guess you can't think about anything else. And it sounds like your life is so busy that actually just having that time that's just purely for you in some ways must be quite a good thing.
Oh, that's yeah, exactly that. Like, having the bikes there, it's just, to be honest, I don't know, I don't really know what else I'd do without them. Um, so it's so good to have them. It's something to look forward to on the weekends, and even when the winter months when you're not racing, you're getting ready for the season ahead, or you're preparing bikes. And like that, the people you meet through it are just amazing. So, it's definitely an outlet from work anyway.
When did bikes then become such a feature of your life?
Geez, I'd say when I was young anyway, I had from very young I would have had, mini motos growing up, and my dad would be watching MotoGP on telly, and I'd be glued to the racing on the telly. I loved, MotoGP, and my dad was a big road racing fan as well. So it was the road racing that kind of really grabbed me in, and especially, the national roads and the Isle of Man. I was just obsessed with them as a kid. So I always said, one day that I would do it, like, and I don't think anyone really believed me, but I suppose here we are now.
Here we are, certainly not that
Yeah.
far away, really. Have you been over to the Isle of Man then much to watch?
I have. I was at the Manx Grand Prix last year with a friend of mine was a newcomer last year, so I went over just to suss it out and have a look and watch the race and just enjoy it really. But it was a cracking year last year with the weather, and yeah, it was amazing to be there for it.
And obviously at that point you wouldn't have put your expression of interest in, but it was definitely on the cards.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Definitely was in the mind, all right. Um, but that just, yeah, definitely sealed the deal. Like, it's, the place is amazing, and especially, when everything goes right, it's just with the weather and everything, it's brilliant. It's a great experience.
I almost wish you could go back to the Shane of a year ago and just tell him what is going to happen towards the end of August this year. What do you reckon he'd say?
I think he'd tell you he's mad. It's kind of unbelievable how fast everything comes, and it's not really till you get over on the first weekend, the first newcomers weekend, that it really sinks in, really hits you that you're going over to, potentially do it. So, yeah, the feeling is definitely surreal. Like, it's amazing.
Really must be. Yeah. Just the idea of just standing on the hedges, watching the bikes go past, and then, that is going to be you. You are going to be the person that people are watching go by. In terms of preparation, then, because you've not done a great deal of roads, you mentioned sort of Aberdare. I mean, you're obviously no stranger to the podium in lots of the racing that you have done so far. What is your mindset in terms of preparation and how you are preparing for the MGP?
Yeah, so for the start of this season now, it's been a bit mental, really. Um, we had the bike testing at Kirkistown last weekend, and ran into engine trouble then, and I had a slip off because the gearbox had issues, so it was a bit of a nightmare of a weekend. Um, so I think 2 or 3 days after that, I was on the boat on the way to London picking up a new engine. Within 2 days, then got the engine in. So we're looking to do testing now on Sunday, and it'll be straight on to Cookstown. Then we'll be leaving Thursday, so racing Friday and Saturday. And we're looking to do, yeah, all the national roads um at home here, and a couple of the Mondello Masters rounds then in preparation before getting over to the Manx. So we're going to get a lot done, you know, on the lead up to it.
And you know what? It's brilliant, isn't it, to see some of the resurgence of the particular road racing. It's been so tricky around Ireland, hasn't it? Which must have really impacted you and your progress.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's been it's been a really tough year to be honest, or a couple of years for just racing in general at home because there was a period there wasn't even short circuit racing down south, and it wasn't really looking likely at all. But like you said, now the resurgence of the Mondello Masters is back at ran last weekend. And then you have the likes of the Southern Roads coming back, Skerry's Road Race, Kells Road Race, and I think Atea is coming back as well. So it's great to see. To be honest, I would have, grew up going to the likes of Skerry's, and yeah, I'm just buzzing to see it coming back, to be honest.
And some great racing names from Ireland, aren't there, Shane? And I wonder if you'd let us know who you sort of grew up watching, who are your sort of heroes?
Oh, definitely, yeah. The national lads going around, you have like say Derek Shields, Derek McGee, um, Mick O'Sweeney, all these guys going around like they were at the top level, when I was growing up, and seeing them going around there at Skerries, geez, you think it's nuts, but they're fantastic pilots, and there's some serious talent, at home, um, and it's just great to see.
Must be a different world in some ways. For people who aren't involved in motorbike racing, I think it's probably quite hard to explain, but there seems to be a real camaraderie within the road racing paddock. How have you found fitting into all of that?
So yeah, it's amazing the people you meet throughout the race, and I mean, when I started out, I really kind of started out on my own. Um, I borrowed my uncle's van, bought the 400, and it was pretty much just either me on my own or me and my girlfriend going around doing track days and some race weekends. And I didn't even have tire warmers for the first few track days I did. So, I met some great people like my good friend Stuart Hessian, and you know, we work on the bikes together now. My bike is kept up in his shed, and we race together. And he's doing the roads this year as well. And I've met, Jack Mears, who did the Manx last year, through Stuart as well, and they'd be good friends of mine now. And did a huge deal of work on my bike this year in regards to getting it ready. So that's the people you meet is it's amazing around, and you are competing against them, but at the same time, they just want to see the best for you.
What are you like when it comes to seeking advice and taking advice and feedback from people?
Oh, massive, you can't get enough. You cannot get enough information. I don't think, in within racing, like you're always learning. Every day is a school day, as they say. Like, um, so any bit of information you can get off anyone, you have to take on board. Whether it's something small, suspension setups, or people just telling you small things like just even relax and settle in. But there's any amount of knowledge around, the Irish racing paddock. So everyone's learning as they go on.
And you mentioned your girlfriend. Was she into bikes before she met you?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. She was in for a shock, all right, because there's a lot of racing going on. Busy weekends and busy nights, and even between work, I have haven't been around for nearly a year and a half, 2 years with work. So um, fair play to her. She stuck around.
Maybe that's a secret. I'm sure it's not. You mentioned some of the people sort of supporting you, helping you get the bike prepped and whatever. Talk us through your team.
Yeah, so well, it's pretty much just I don't have an official team, but like most really, but I have Stuart Hessian helped me out this year, and Jack Mears. They did a massive deal of work getting that bike ready, my Aprilia ready, this year. My family, my mum, my dad, uh, my aunt and my uncle. I'm still using my uncle's van, and they've just been a massive help this year, and just helped me out in total, really, just getting me across the line. Of course, my girlfriend, and this the first year I kind of really ran with sponsors, so I have to thank Denison Trailers, Barberstown Castle, Anto Swinburne at Road Rangers, and Life Credit Union. They jumped on board this year, and yeah, they've been nothing but helpful. So there's a lot of people behind me this year. It's just I'm just so grateful for it, to be honest.
And we've recently had a conversation on the podcast about sponsorship specifically from a sponsor's point of view. And it is often so much more than just about the financial side of things. I think just having that belief in you and those people who are really rooting for you and want you to do well is just such a thing. I suppose it does come with a real side of responsibility, though, from your point of view.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like, you feel like you have that little bit more, I suppose, responsibility um while you're out there riding. I wouldn't say, pressure as much because they're definitely not putting pressure on me at all. But you know, my sponsors anyway, they're all um into motorbikes, so they can see they see the good in it, and they just want to help out in the sport really, So yeah, no, can't thank them enough.
And have you got all the people that you're going to bring over to MGP with you sorted?
I do indeed, yeah. So I'll be bringing over. Stuart will be coming over. My dad is coming over, and I have a couple of mates coming over as well from work. So we have it all sorted in that way. But there's going to be it'll definitely be a big learning curve. I can say that.
It really will. I was just thinking about your mum and dad, actually, and probably your girlfriend as well, and what they're like when you're out racing. Do they like watching you? Do they prefer to be a bit further back and just see you when it's all over?
Yeah, I think my mum definitely. Yeah, she doesn't really even want to watch, to be honest. Um, she loves the paddock. She loves the people, and you know, the camaraderie, I suppose, around the paddock. But she really doesn't like seeing me going out on the bike. So, um, but she is massively supportive. So, my dad and my girlfriend. My dad, he's into bikes all his life, and I suppose sometimes you can see the worry, but my dad, he loves the bikes, and yeah, so maybe not so much my mom or my girlfriend, to be honest.
I think I get that. I do. I really do. And then when it comes to your team, obviously for MGP, you need your pit crew and whatever. Have you worked out who's doing what and where when you come in for the pits?
No, we actually haven't officially worked that out now. I need to put them through their paces now and see how they get on. So, um, yeah, that'll be an interesting one. See who comes where. But look, like I said, there's no pressure on me. There's no pressure on them. So they're to take it in on the first year and take as much, information on board as you can, and get around safe. That's the main thing.
You see, this is where you being a soldier is coming through, this regimented practice that you're going to make everybody do, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, have to be drilled into them before we go over.
And is your awning going to be perfect as well, everything in its place? Are you that sort of person?
I suppose a small bit. Yeah, I don't think Stuart would agree now, to be honest. But I like to be organised before going over. Definitely.
And so obviously you have been over here, you have watched, you came over to the first newcomers weekend. In terms then of learning the course, a lot of people obviously watch onboards or they play the TT game. How do you do that? How are you processing it?
Yeah. So like that, before I went over. I've been watching um onboards, and I've been playing the game as well. But I've been doing any amount of that, and I suppose when I got over on the first newcomers weekend, or I kind of thought, is that information really going? Is it sticking with me? I don't know, but it really started to click when we went out with the instructors. I think personally, the way I learn anyway, I have to be there. Um, I have to listen to someone who's been around, going around in the car, and it really clicks with me then. I start to take on the information a lot better. So it's like the onboards are making a lot more sense now, if you get me, ever since going. We're going to try get over during the TT for a couple of days, and like that, try get some laps in if we can and take in a bit of the atmosphere there. So definitely going to be over again before the next newcomers weekend.
When it comes to MGP overall then, what is the thing that you're most looking forward to?
It's just getting the first tap on the shoulder down Bray Hill, I think. I think that's everyone's. You build up so much to that point, and that's what you've worked for. So you know all the seasons of racing have all come to that. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to just getting there and getting on the bike, and yeah, getting that first tap on the shoulder.
And what would you say you're probably most apprehensive about?
Um, to be honest, I would say, definitely like any bike trouble or engine trouble or anything like that, because, machines can let you down and it's a lot of preparation, a lot of time and a lot of money, to get there. So, fingers crossed for, the machines work when we get there, you know.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's obviously a physical test for the rider, but also the machine as well. From a physical point of view, I guess, because again of your job, you must keep on top of that side of things.
Definitely, yeah, yeah, especially for on the Isle of Man, it's like nowhere else, going around quite a long track, like, so you're using a lot of physical as well as, your mental energy. So you definitely have to keep on top of your game, even whether it's keeping in the gym, going for a few runs, or, just keeping generally fit. But like that, yeah, it does help. It does help with being in work, with, keeping fit throughout the year. So I'm grateful for that.
And also, you've got to think about the nutrition side of things when you're over here as well. I mean, the burger vans, I imagine, can be quite tempting, but not necessarily what you want to be stocking up on. But it's just another thing to think about, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. You don't really, think about when you're doing 8 laps around, Kirkstown and Mondello. You don't really mind going for the few chips then, but you know, yeah, like that, you have to really focus on, everything's 100% over there. Your hydration, your food, everything like that. So yeah, it's just one of them extra things to think about, really.
Do you suffer from nerves?
Yeah, I do. I actually do, to be honest. It's always just on the dummy grid, just beforehand. You do get that feeling in your stomach. Like I think everyone would be lying if they said they didn't, to be honest. But it's like, yeah, once you get released out onto the grid, you just start to settle down. But it's more like a apprehension, really, isn't it, than like a fear. So I suppose it's a good thing too. Good thing too that people have it. Like,
Yeah, I guess it's when you really care about something, isn't it? That adrenaline is just going and it's just making sure that it is as controlled as possible. But some people like listening to music to calm them down. Are you that sort of person?
yeah, yeah, I suppose a few tunes then before I go out, or yeah, just even having a chat with someone. I wouldn't go full silent or anything like that, but anything to keep you a bit calmer, and just try and enjoy the race. Try not to let the apprehension ruin it.
Have a particular song of choice?
Oh Lord, Jesus.
No pressure,
You never
no
know. It could be,
judgment.
yeah, a bit of Pink Pony Club on track size, the usual.
The other thing, I suppose, for any racer these days is having that social media presence on top of everything else, telling people what you've been up to, how it's going. How are you with that side of things?
Yeah, so I have my racing page on Facebook, Shane Doran Racing, and like that, just using it to keep everyone updated. So yeah, it's hard to keep on top of it, all right, but it is a busy year, and there'll definitely be a lot more posts coming up this year. So yeah, it's Shane Doran Racing on Facebook. Yeah, it's on Facebook. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, I mean, Cookstown, as we're talking a few days away, I think when this podcast goes out, will be the next weekend. Um, Obviously, so much happening. How are the next few weeks and months looking for you?
Yeah, very, busy up until Cookstown now. We've been getting the bike ready, running in engines, getting engines on dyno and stuff. Um, so we leave. I think we're leaving Thursday for Cookstown. So fingers crossed for good weather. But after Cookstown, there's a small bit of a lapse, a small bit of a break with the racing, and then it'll be on to Kells Road Race down south. So to be honest, there's no real let up until after the Manx.
Do you ever think a little bit about, I suppose, what you're sacrificing, not only for the racing, but obviously for your job as well, as you mentioned, everything that entails. I mean, it doesn't leave much room for anything else.
And yeah, definitely sacrificing a lot. I mean, it's a very expensive sport, at the when you get into it at that level, and even time wise, I do have to miss out on a lot of things in work and, some courses and stuff on the work side of things, but like that, the other things you don't think of, family holidays or anything like that, you do miss out on that type of stuff, but it is I suppose, the sacrifice you have to make, and I'm just glad, yeah, everyone around me support me 100% and that they're happy for me to make them decisions.
Well, if we were to speak to you this time next year, I know you're not putting any pressure on yourself for your first MGP, but what will a successful MGP have looked like for you?
Getting around, successfully completing boat races. That'd be an achievement in my book, to be honest. Getting around safely, and we all have goals. I suppose we all set goals in our own head, but like that's the first year. I really just want to take it in as much as I can and kind of bring that then hopefully to the next year for the Manx Grand Prix, and just like that chip away slowly and see where we end up.
Beyond MGP, is there a further goal that you're setting yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Just, to get, more experience on the roads, keep improving, and, just keep building towards more events. I'd like to do the likes of the Northwest, and eventually I'd love to do TT, obviously. So where do you stop?
You don't stop anywhere, Shane.
That's
it sounds
it.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Oh, it's been brilliant talking to you. Thank you so, so much. We'll put all the links, as I say, to your social media on the podcast page. Look forward to seeing you back over here. Best of luck with Cookstown. And yeah, maybe just go and have a lie down now while you can, yeah?
I think so, yeah. Get a rest while I can. Thanks so much, Beth.
Shane Doran, what a story there. Do follow his social media pages and see how he's getting on. And we'll catch up with him again, hopefully, when he's over for the next MGP Newcomers Weekend in July. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Startline, brought to you by the Manx Motorcycle Club. If you would like to be involved in a future episode, you can find me on social media, or you can drop me an email. It's beth@startline.im. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.